Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and we have today, for the first time in our show's history, a mystery guest. I do not know who is on the other side of this avatar right here. Stacy, our producer, knows. There's like this many people that know. So we're gonna try to get to the bottom of it today. So I'm gonna ask you to guess, okay? But if you know who it is already, if somehow you have an inside scoop, please don't reveal it. We're gonna play 20 questions here for the first like 10 minutes, and we're going to ultimately reveal the new president and CEO of ARC Relocation right here on the show. I'm really excited about it. I'm a little nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. Anyway, how are you doing today, mystery guest?
I'm great, Ben. How are you?
Ooh, I'm well. I'm very well. I'm titillated. Okay, so we have our mystery guest here. I want you all out there in the world to comment, like this, share this. We're going to play a game, and I'm going to ask you, the viewer, to help me. Okay, I'm going to ask 20 questions. You all play 20 questions, and I want you to guess. So you can guess as many times as you want out there. Throw it in the comments, and we're going to kind of bring those up, and we're going to see if you get it right. Okay. So just as a test right now, let's everybody go ahead and put in who you are, where you are in the world, maybe who you work for, whatever. Say what's up. Throw in the comments. I see we got a bunch of people coming in on Facebook. Let's see how LinkedIn's doing. Are we live there yet? Check, check, check. Oh, and before we get started, real quick, shout out to First Tech Federal Credit Union for being our sponsor of the 8 Weeks of Giving. If you want to go ahead and register for that, you can go to loveandrelo.com/community. Register because First Tech Federal Credit Union is giving away not one, but 2 bottles of wine every week here on Love and Relo. So that's awesome. So go ahead and get involved in that. Let's see. We got people coming in here on Facebook. This is great. I'm gonna make sure that we're actually live here. I'm not seeing if we are yet or not. Can someone confirm if we are live on LinkedIn here? Tech check, tech check. There we go. No, it doesn't look like we've gone live on LinkedIn. Is that because we have the wrong time, I wonder, on there? Because we did move it up an hour. I don't know. Yeah, we'll do the best we can. Let's see. We got people coming in here. Erica checking in. Hello, mystery guest. And Ben checking in from Ohio. Oh, this is fun. You know, maybe that's what I should do. See if you know any of these people like in real life or not. Because that would help narrow it down for me. Is this exciting for you, or like help me understand? Like I don't know you yet, but like, how are you feeling right now, mystery guest?
It's very exciting. I've never been a secret guest before. I've been a
No.
featured guest before on the Dr.
Oh,
Oz show, so no pressure, Ben, but never,
what?
never a secret guest.
Is that a real factoid right there? Can we use that?
That's a real factoid.
Okay. I'm presuming, I'm being presumptuous.
You
Okay,
are
first
correct.
question. I'm gonna start my 20 questions right now. All right. Oh gosh, a couple people say they know their lips are sealed. Okay, interesting. Stacy, can you also check LinkedIn and see if we are live there? Because I want to make sure that we are here. So, oh, there it is, Joyce. Just went live. Oh, this is gonna get fun real quick. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of people. Okay, this is great. All right, leave your guests in here. I'm gonna start asking questions, and I want to see what your guesses are. We got people coming in all over here. Oh, this is wonderful. Tons of people. Stacy, you want to just cycle some of those through? Okay, first question. Okay, so I'm presuming. Okay, first question. Are you a female?
I am.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, I'm on the right track.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Have you worked in the relocation industry for more than 20 years?
I have. And shout out to My Lips Are Sealed because that is my sister. Hint, hint, Ben Cross.
Oh, hold on. Can we bring that clue up here? We have a clue. We got a clue. Leslie Smith is the sister of this person. Wow. Okay, so now I'm gonna pivot. Is Smith your last name?
It's my maiden name.
Oh man. Okay, we need a private investigator now. We need to go back. Okay. Have you worked at an RMC before?
I have.
All right, all right, all right.
You
I'm
said
not
yes
getting
or
any
no.
closer.
You said yes or no. I'll give you more hints if you ask, but
Okay, okay. I'm gonna need a hint every fifth question. We're gonna do an open-ended question. Okay, for a hint. Okay, okay. You know what? Am I due yet for a hint? Okay, no, one more. Let's see here. Do you have a CRP?
I have a CRP and a GMST.
Wow. Okay. Highly qualified. All right, here we go. Okay, so here is my open-ended question. I'm saving my open-ended question here for this one. Okay. And I want everybody out there, please, I need you on LinkedIn. I need you kind of looking and doing research. Okay. So Heather, Mary Beth, Vinny, Amanda, Erica, I need your help here. Okay. I need you out there. People are saying, I know. Well, if you know, like don't, but if you like think you might know, go ahead and pop it in there. I don't know. Is that okay? What was the name of the company you last worked for?
I worked for Cardis for 25 years.
Ooh. Okay. 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 LinkedIn family, I need you to use this information. She worked at Cardis for more than 25 years. She's a CRP GMST. Okay, let me ask you this one. Were you in were you in were you in sales?
No.
Okay. 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 This makes it a little harder. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna follow this up. Were you in Would you consider your last role to be operations focused?
Yes.
I know that's kind of a vague question. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I know. I know. These questions are probably gonna be really stupid once I find out who you are. Okay, this is the best I can do though. All right. Do we have any guesses yet coming in from this is great. Shout out to Patty Camp. Patty Camp. Shout out to the Sea Turtles. You had me at Leslie Smith, Karen Wiseman says.
Karen used to be my
Oh,
boss, so she guess.
Karen used to be your boss.
She did.
Okay.
Yes.
Kristen says, I knew as soon as I heard your voice. So exciting.
Hi, Kristen.
Oh my gosh. Does anybody have a guess? Does anybody have a guess that didn't know before the show but knows now? Put it out there. I mean, if you didn't know before the show, if you weren't operating on inside information and you know now, Jody says, got it. Well, okay, let us know. If you got a guess, let's hazard it. Well, where is she located? Erica Burton wants to know, where is she located?
I am located in Connecticut. And to answer the
Connecticut.
prior question, yes, I was with PHH.
Okay. Okay. So Susan, I'm sorry, Stacy, give us the next comment. Susan says she used to be my boss. People are dying. Farrell Elliott is dying. This is great. Hit that like button, right? Hit that round of applause here. Up. We've got Lisa Barron who says Michelle B. Is it Michelle B?
It is Michelle B.
But what's the last B? What's the end of the B? Can somebody that knows it? I want somebody to guess it correctly here. What's Michelle B? Michelle B? Why? Why? I'm dying too. Farrell Elliott's like, I'm dying. With Farrell Elliott says with PHH in what state? With PHH in what state?
Oh, Connecticut. Sorry.
Connecticut. Okay. All right.
I got distracted by the comments.
I know the comments are.
There it
Brush
is.
it. Is it Brushy? Come on out then, Michelle Brush. How do I say?
It's
There she
Brescia.
is. Brescia. Hey, Michelle Brescia. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
This is awesome. This is great. Congratulations on the new role, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is very exciting.
Oh my gosh, this is great. This is great. This is wonderful. Should we give it to Lisa Baranich? Is Lisa Baranich the winner then, I think?
I think so.
Okay. So Bill Mulholland said he was going to give Lisa Baranich or whoever won it an enormous prize. So Bill, I'll let you settle up with Lisa offline. But this is awesome. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, Ben.
How has this journey been for you? Give us the scoop. Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy journey. I I got a phone call from my dear friend Holly Klontz, who's with Train Technologies, formerly with Ingersoll Rand, and she said, "Hey, I just got off the phone with this guy from ARC, and he's got some positions that I think you might be really interested in." And she said CEO, and I said, "No way." And she said, "Just talk to him, just have a discussion." And so I reached out to Bill, and that was right around a little bit before Christmas, I think. And I think he interviewed me 6 or 8 times before he made me an offer, but we've had a lot of fun just kind of talking and talking about my experience and talking about ARC and where he's going with the company. And so it's been a long journey, but here we are, and very, very excited to be a part of the ARC team.
So Michelle, give us some background on who you are. So for those of us who don't know, kind of let's do the old question, right? How did you get into mobility?
Great question. I love that question because everybody seems to just kind of fall into the industry, right? So I was 23 years old. I worked for Culligan Water, a franchise of Culligan Water, in their accounting department. And I had a friend who went to Legacy PHH, and she said, "Hey, you're limited in your growth over there. Come over here. It's a huge company. You'll really be happy here, and there's a lot of opportunity for you." So that was my falling into the relocation industry. So I started over at the Legacy PHH as an accountant in their finance and accounting department. And then one day the operations team was outside having a luau for someone who was retiring and moving to Hawaii. And there's, food and music, and everybody's got on leis. And I'm sitting upstairs in finance saying, "Those are my people. I need to get to operations."
How do I get to the luau?
I want to be in that team. So I applied. I took a lateral move, much to the dismay of my boss at the time, who said, "Don't go there. You're not going to be happy there. That's where the customers are." And just kind of really grew my career from there. So I started ground level in operations as an assistant consultant to a manager, director. Cindy Salter actually was the VP who hired me as a director, managing her government team back in 2004. And then grew from there. I became a VP at Cardis in 2017. And in my most recent role, I had a account management team, my dream team, a lot of whom are scrolling through the comments at the moment. So I'm so happy to see them here. And I led our Center of Excellence, which consisted of 9 different departments, from consulting to implementation, language and cross-cultural group, et cetera. So that's kind of been that's 25 years and 36 seconds, Ben.
That's awesome. But help me understand the Center of Excellence. Like, so what does that mean? I've heard that term quite a bit, and I never understand exactly what it means. So help me understand, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and hopefully Cardis doesn't mind me sharing it, but they came up with this great idea to bring together 9 different departments and have them find efficiencies and partner with each other in better support of the organization. So my role was to bring the groups together, develop the strategy, help them to execute against the strategy, bring that subject matter expertise to the organization in support of the organization. So really was a great new opportunity for the company, and brought with it quite a bit of efficiency.
So this is really cool, and I'm kind of still excited, kind of in this afterglow of this whole thing we just did, and getting to find out who you are, and I'm looking at all the comments coming in, and everybody's so excited for you, and Jody and Holly, they're so proud of you. Michelle, love you so much, and your customers who love you too. I mean, that's pretty amazing. People are so thrilled for you. What's that? Hey, Mom!
Hi, Mom and Dad.
It's like that "look, Mom, I made it" moment, right? Hey, look,
I know.
Mom.
I know. I told my parents, they're like, "What? You're doing what?"
Doing what?
Here I am.
Parents just don't understand. I think that's a song.
They do.
Okay.
I learned everything I learned about being an outstanding employee from the example that my parents set, for sure.
Well, talk about that for a moment. Shout out to the parents. Let's pay a little tribute. So what have you learned from your parents?
So both my parents worked while I was growing up, and they balanced working full time and having a family. My sister and I were very active. My sister very active in horseback riding and still is today, and I was very active in sports. And so they, worked hard at their jobs, came home and took care of the family. And I think that I do the same, and they set such a great example for us. The very first day I was promoted to manager at 26 years old, my dad, Karen Wiseman, promoted me, by the way. My dad wrote me a handwritten letter, and he had been in management most of his career. And he said, one of the things that really stuck out to me was never be better than your employees. Always be able to do the job that they do so that you understand what they do and treat them with the utmost respect and kindness. My dad has a saying that says something like, the janitor may be able to shine your shoes, but you still have to walk in them. And so you should treat everyone with respect.
Wow. Wow, that's good stuff right there. The comments are amazing. Keep those comments coming. Also, keep your throw some questions as well. If you got questions for Michelle, throw them in there. Love to take your questions. I have some questions of my own. This has been an interesting show because I haven't really been able to prepare the way I normally would prepare. But I've got a couple of questions because I'm always curious about someone who's stepping into a role like you are. How do you look at that job? I mean, I think it's probably unlike any job you've ever done before. And how is it different? And what are some of the things that you're thinking about now that maybe you haven't had to think about before?
Yeah, I think, from an ARC perspective, a couple of the things that really excited me about joining ARC is their technology. Having seen some of the best in the industry, when I started to go through the tour of their tech with Bill, I was really encouraged by where they are, excited about the opportunities that they have ahead of them. They're really positioned well for growth. So my thought there was, I've got all this experience behind me that I can bring and offer and support to Bill. To Bill.
I know, I'm reading these comments out here. Holly's over here trying to make it hard for me. Thanks, Holly. Appreciate it. Hey, throw some curveballs out there here. So you come into a situation like this. What are some of the first things that you do? Like, how do you approach this kind of a role? 30, 90, 180 days. Like, we just had a change in administration, here in the United States government, right? I mean, they always kind of talk about the 100-day plan, the 100-day mark. And how do you break that time up? And what are things you're trying to accomplish near term, long term, kind of? Help me understand.
Yeah, sure. So short term, I'm looking at understanding the structure of the organization, talking to Bill a lot about, where has he been, where is he now, where does he want to go, really getting to know the team. I think that's a big part of it. My leadership style has always been very much a servant leader. So I want to be, and that comes back to my insight from my dad, but I want to be a part of the team. I want them to feel like they can lean on me for anything. And so really it's getting to understand them, understand what are the opportunities that they see for the organization, what are the challenges that they've faced, and are there opportunities for efficiencies or streamlining there? And then really, what are their ideas? So it's getting to know the team, getting to know the organization as it exists today, and then where we take it from there. So that's kind of the short term, 30, 60, 90, 6-month plan, depending on what we tackle. And then longer term, Bill's got this company set to take flight. I mean, it's on fire, just some of the things that he's shared with me already. And I think my ability to step in and help him run the day-to-day on the Relo side of the business is really going to help him to focus more on that business development and just continue to grow and grow. I said to him in one of the first interviews, I've got a lot of talent that I know out in the industry that, once we grow and we're ready to take on.
Sorry, that was me. That was me
Okay.
over here. I was trying to like it. I was trying to like my post over here while you're talking. My apology. You were saying you have a lot of talent in the industry, and
I mean, Holly's a perfect example, right? She and I have grown in this industry together. There's so many people out there that I think, once we grow this organization, we can really bring in and help us to grow it even further. So short term, focus on understanding, learning the company, what value do I bring to it, and then longer term, just jumping in and helping Bill to set it on fire, really, in a good way.
I've seen some of Bill's posts regarding this, right? And some people are like, hey, Bill, isn't that your job? And he's like, yeah, I hired my boss.
I
So
saw that.
now that Bill finally has someone to report to and someone to kind of keep him on a leash there, so what are his day-to-day responsibilities going to be now? How are you going to best leverage him and utilize him?
You know, I don't know if you
What are
noticed.
his marching orders, Michelle?
I don't know if you noticed this, Ben, but his surfboard is not up on his cabinet any longer. And I wondered if now that I'm on board, he took the surfboard and he was just going to go surf from now on. I don't know, but really, he's going to focus on business development. That is his sweet spot. That is, with the new technology that he's building, he's really going to focus a lot of his energy there. And then,
And that makes a lot of sense because Bill's super gifted in that area, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's an area that certainly I have experience in. You asked me when I was the mystery guest if I was in sales. I wasn't in sales, but in my prior role, I was responsible for selling within my client portfolio. So yes, I have experience there. Yes, I've prospected new clients, but really that's Bill's sweet spot, and my sweet spot is managing operations and leading. So I think it's going to be a nice mix of what he's really good at and what I'm really good at.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, just having known Bill as a friend, and also having worked with ARC and everything, I think that your skill sets sound like a perfect fit. And I think allowing Bill to really go after that business development thing sounds like a very, very smart, prudent, strategic kind of move. So I wish you both the best, and I think it's going to be really successful. So what do you do when you come into new work? So I've come into new organizations. I've always found it hard. I've always found that first 30 days, that feeling out period, to be like super critical to my long-term success. How do you come into an organization, and how do you kind of build team and build trust? Because I think that's so important.
Yeah, I agree. Some of my former employees can tell you in the chat that team culture is very, very important to me. And even when I had a team of 160 people across 7 countries, I tried to create a small team feel. And that was another thing that really excited me about ARC, is they've got that family culture. And that's really what I look to instill in my team. Our guiding principle in my former team, which we named the Dream Team, was to be kinder than necessary. And with kindness, I mean, you can be a tough negotiator. You can get people to perform and execute against their goals and objectives, but you can do it in a way that's kind, that people want to show up to work every day. And so for me, I think I lost track of your question, but I think it was, how do you come in and build team?
Yeah, build team and build
team
trust with people. Yeah, right off the bat.
Yeah, it's really just getting to know people. And one of the things that Bill and I talked about this morning is next week I want Aman to set up some coffee chats with me and the team. In my prior role, I finished 160 coffee chats in a year during COVID.
That's a lot of coffee.
Then I left. So, it's getting to know the people, what excites them about their job, what do they like to do for fun. And, once you build that rapport and trust, I think the team part of it comes easy, and the acceptance, right? When they see me execute against something that they need my support on, it builds credibility pretty quickly.
Well, and Bill over here is promising to be the best employee that he can be, which is, I think, very noble of him. But I also, Bill's got this big personality, right? And I got to tell you, I don't got to tell you, Bill's got this big personality. He's kind of been the face of the organization this whole time. It's really his baby, and now he's and he and I have talked about this over the years and everything. It's like, and then the organization matures to a point where, the best and the thing that's in the best interest of the organization is to bring someone else in that can really foster and bring it to even the next level, while focusing on what's really important for him and what his highest and best use is in the organization, and all that's great. But how that seemed like quite a challenge for someone to come into an organization like that, and to kind of those are some big shoes to fill, to use the shoes analogy from your dad, right? Mm-hmm. Those are some big shoes to fill. How do you do that?
Well, the good news is I have a lot of experience in filling other people's shoes. So that part of it is something that I have done over and over again. I've taken on all these different teams that had prior leaders, some that they really, really loved. And so it goes back to building that personal relationship and executing against what you promise. The good thing about Bill and in many of the discussions that we had is that he's going to focus more on what his strengths are, but he has promised not to leave me, leave me on my own. So he's still there. I can bounce, what would Bill do? Bounce things off of him. But, I think as soon as they understand me and I get to understand them and we start to work together and build that credibility, then it'll be a lot easier for Bill to take a step to the side and do what he wants to focus on. So.
Yeah, for sure. We got a couple comments coming in here. Holly Klon says she convinced me to give her all of my business.
I did. Whether she wanted to or not, I did.
In reference to the business development question, love to hear your questions also from Michelle out there. We're going to ask those questions. We're also going to talk about kind of some ideas about global mobility, kind of strategic ideas, long-term, trends and things like that. Mena's got one here. Which kind of shifts us into this idea of where is the business going. Mm-hmm. Mena says, how are you seeing the relocation industry changing post-COVID?
Yeah, I would say, Mena, that, it seems to be recovering slowly but surely. I've seen it from a volume perspective. I see clients getting really creative with policies, virtual assignments, this whole work from anywhere kind of mentality. That doesn't come without its own challenges, right, from a compliance perspective and such. But I do see a recovery, and I think it might be a little bit longer term, but I do think it will come back.
Yeah, and I want to stay on that work from anywhere just a minute, because it does seem like the hot topic. I was in a Clubhouse thing today moderated by Jack Jampel, and we were talking about work from home. We were talking about work from anywhere. It's just such a hot topic, and I think people are enamored with the idea of floating around in Bali with a laptop or something, right? And so it's like, yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, I was just thinking about Bill Mulholland in Puerto Rico. It's like, this is actually what Bill does. Okay, no, but I mean, I think people are enamored with this idea, right? But to your point, it comes with so many challenges. How real is work from anywhere? Is this a fantasy, or is this something to be taken seriously?
I think it's something to be taken seriously, but I don't think a lot of companies are going to do it. I think there's too many tax compliance issues, immigration issues. I think that clients are going to I think we'll get back to normal assignments, normal relocation volume once more and more borders open up. It's hard to say. I don't have my crystal ball right in front of me, but I think that more clients are going to lean back towards the traditional. Jack might disagree with me. I didn't get to hear Jack's Clubhouse today.
No, Jack actually is very kind of traditional in his forecast for that, and it's interesting because actually what the conversation went, just to give you kind of a flavor there, is like, people are forecasting volumes to be down, but what he's seeing is an increase in volumes. Now, the question is that a pent-up demand and the baseline is still in fact much lower, or do we see volumes just kind of tick back up and return to normal and the baseline return to pre-COVID? Well, what are your thoughts on the kind of the viability of our industry long term? Is this, are we ever going to see the volumes back where they were, or do we need to change and adapt in ways?
I think we needed to change and adapt regardless of, pre-COVID anyway. So many people are going to more of a technology-based relocation program. A lot of clients interested in lump sums, and the disadvantages that come with that, we all understand as global mobility professionals. But I think there's always going to be a need for relocation. You've got pharmaceutical companies who need doctors in certain locations. You've got retail clients that need people on the ground in certain locations. So there's always going to be a need for it. I think that it's a way that it's delivered that's going to change. And if companies can't flex and adapt to that, then they're going to be left behind.
Okay, so let's take that one step further. I mean, and I guess now this becomes, a problem, I guess, that you get to deal with, and you have the fortune of dealing with. But I mean, how do we future-proof our relocation businesses. I mean, there's people that are watching right now that are RMCs. There's people that are corporate folks. There's tons of service providers in the comments here. How do we future-proof our business? What are things we need to be thinking about and doing right now, if we haven't already started, to make sure that we're still viable in 5 or 10 years?
I think from an RMC perspective, it's listening, right? You have to listen to what your clients are talking about. Where are they going? What do they need? If you're a client contact sitting within that corporation, you need to be listening to your talent folks and really thinking about, my perspective right now is companies are really tight for money. They didn't want to spend money on relocation. They just survived COVID in most cases. Most companies took a significant financial hit in the COVID era. And I think really it's listening. It's listening across all, regardless of what you're an RMC, you're a corporate client, you're in HR. It's understanding what the future need of the business is going to be, both internally and with your clients, and really adapting to that. If your client says, you know what, post-COVID, we only have this much money going forward per person for a budget. I think I saw one of the comments you made about the $70,000 mark to move a homeowner as on average, right?
Yeah, that's
What if they only have
2014 worldwide ERC data, right? Yeah.
That's your CRP test right there, right? What if they only have 25,000, right? And how can you, as an HR professional or a global mobility specialist or an RMC, adapt to that and help support that? And is it relying more on tech and flexing the benefits that you have?
Yeah, so interesting. I'd love to hear all the people that are watching right now. We have tons of people on, a lot of people on LinkedIn right now, a lot of people on Facebook, Doug Barnett, Yola, Eileen, John, Dano, Heather, shout out to all of you. I'd love to hear your questions for Michelle as well. We've got a couple good ones coming in here. Actually, a good comment here from Al Blumenberg. I'm seeing that many people are defining work from anywhere as work from your home or the office, not necessarily a different country.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this work from anywhere? Is it work from home? Is it your home can be anywhere? Do we think that the work from home, I mean, I'd like to also maybe we talked about work from anywhere, it's kind of the extreme, I guess. But I think Al's trying to say, well, but there's a huge population that's just working from home. How does work from home impact our business? Is relocation going to be impacted by that?
It could possibly be impacted by that, right? Less clients need to move people if they can do that function from home. But again, I think it goes back to, do they need boots on the ground where they are, right? Do they need a particular leader to come into this region and build that team? So I agree with Al, though, that the definition of work from anywhere varies, and it depends on who you ask and what day it is, right? Some people think work from anywhere means work in any country. Some people think it means work from the Starbucks if it's open, right? So there really isn't a universal description of work from anywhere. My initial thoughts are, as it relates to international moves and making sure that the compliance perspective is handled.
Do you think that we as an industry are going to get kind of roped into enabling companies work from home and work from anywhere strategies? Do you think we're going to get into the business of being an employer of record in different countries and helping people stand up operations, to be tax compliant and immigration compliant, have an office in that country? I mean, do you think we're going to get roped into helping the business be places and not just the people be places?
That's a great thought. I really haven't thought of it before, Ben, honestly. I know
the whole trend, and I'll just give you a moment to kind of ponder just for a second, but I want to go back to something I've heard all the time was, we move people to jobs, but when the jobs start moving to the people, how do we continue to be valuable? Is there a way to help companies move the jobs and become that partner in that way, from a compliance standpoint? Sorry.
We might have just started a trend of RMCs acquiring HROs. I don't know. It is a valid question. It's one I hadn't given much thought to, honestly, but There's certainly a need. In my prior role, my team had a need for, some HRO type support as well. And so I understand it. I see it as a need. I don't know that RMCs in general are have that skill set, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I wonder, to Al's kind of point about working from home, and I'm a little concerned that the baseline continues to erode. The relocatable employees, whether voluntarily relocatable or companies' appetite to relocate, is going to continue to diminish over time. And I wonder how we as RMCs and we as service providers continue to find ways to add value.
Yeah.
And when I see companies and employees choosing lump sum, solutions, as much as I'd like to jump up and down and get on my soapbox about why it's a bad idea and everything, people are choosing it, right?
Yeah.
And customer choice tends to win, right? The market tends to win over time. And so I feel like we're at kind of a point, an inflection point in our business, which is just being hastened by COVID, that says we need to reinvent ourselves. And what do we look like if we're going to be successful in 5 and 10 years in this business? And I just always like to ask these questions, and I know nobody has an answer to it, but I think it's an interesting thought exercise. And
agreed. Yeah, I was just looking at Sandra's comment in the comments about maybe it's not getting roped into, maybe it's a new service opportunity. And I think to your point about the business overall, and what we look like post-COVID, companies have to come up with new service opportunities and offerings. Looking at the DE&I space, how can RMC support assignees in that space? How do they help to develop global leaders to be prepared to help relocating employees and from that perspective? So lots of opportunity from a new service offering perspective, I think. And
and Sandra, it's a great point. I mean, it's roped into when it's not your idea, and it's a new service opportunity that is your idea. And I think it's on us, right, to be proactive and make it a new service opportunity before someone comes along and is already doing it, and then we get roped into it, and now we're no longer the leaders, right? So I think it's a great point. Holly says Train Technologies is rolling out a future of work program that outlines how we are going to address that work from anywhere and what it means for tax, mobility, et cetera. Happy to share. Please.
I'll text her now. Yeah, let's go, Holly.
Holly, what up? Cut and paste. What up? Put it in the comments. All right, let me know. That's great. Al here says, we got some great comments here, and feel free to chime in, Michelle. Al says there would have to be a huge need for the talent for a company to set up an office, giving the corporate tax nexus liability. Very interesting thought. Al, I'd love your thought on what a huge cost it must be in order to justify it. And I'd love your thoughts on this too, Michelle. But I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing if we're spending $70,000 to relocate somebody domestically who's a homeowner, who's a current employee, if that's where we're coming from, I don't know what the cost of setting up an office and the corporate taxes are, but $70,000 for one employee, there could be a justification too. Michelle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think, the costs could wash each other out, but I know a lot of companies are facing nexus right now as it relates to people being from home already. And if the companies decided to permanently have people from home, that's a whole new path that they're having to go down that they hadn't gone down before. So it's definitely.
Can you explain the corporate tax nexus liability to me? Because I'm not familiar. No, okay. Me either.
I am not the expert there.
Somebody throw it in the comments, please. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not my area of expertise. My understanding is, and I know my new boss can explain it probably better than I can, that when you set up an employee in a state that you don't have an entity, and I believe it creates additional tax liability. But maybe Al or Bill or someone from E&Y or somebody else can help us with that question.
Somebody help us out here.
Oh, there you go.
Bill, you can't get away with Michelle spot on, okay? Bill, I need more information, Bill. You can't just co-sign Michelle here. I need more information. Al Blumenberg depends on how the country taxes company revenue. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
I think you've got a topic for a future show now, Ben.
Yeah, for real. Can be a big deal depending on the state the employee is in, for sure. And then, of course, the person you always want to go shopping with, Holly Klontz. $70,000 for a multi-billion-dollar company is nothing, honestly.
Someday when you have Holly Klontz alone, you ask her about her shopping experience with me in New York City, and there's a story to be told there.
Well, I'm sure it's, $70,000 is nothing in New York City, honestly. No, but Holly, good point there. Bill's got a question for us. Bill's bringing it kind of to the practical. Bill's bringing it to the curb, as we say in household goods. Okay. I'm assuming Bill's from a household goods background here, and he says, "What is her concern with quality owner operators leaving the industry due to the out of control corporate discounts?"
Yeah, the corporate discounts, the environmental impacts on having to retrofit your rigs with the proper environmentally required equipment. Big concern. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, there was a lot of discussion about drivers aging out and the younger folks not wanting to do that physical labor. So I had a discussion with a gentleman at a barbecue one day, and he said, he was a truck driver. He said, "We want to be dock bumpers. So we just want to pull up to the dock, have somebody unload it all, and then we drive off. We don't want to be carrying furniture up and down stairs." And so it is concerning. It's definitely concerning when they're your best suppliers, right? That's certainly a concern of mine. The out of control corporate discounts, unfortunately, I think that kind of rolls down, right? So there's expectations of cost cutting at the highest level, and that makes its way down to all the suppliers. And there's certainly an impact, and makes it more challenging to get a good quality supplier. But they're still out there, and I still have hope that people, the younger generation, are going to want to come in and take on trades, and truck driving and household goods shipments being one of them. But yeah, it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Holly chimes in. She's got a great point. Trucker's daughter here. They don't get enough credit, respect, or pay.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, you're 100% right, and they're making less and less. We had Fred Metzler, who's an outspoken driver advocate, on the show a few weeks ago. Apparently, it was kind of controversial. We might have to have him back. But I mean, he's like, I'm making the same amount of money I was making 15 years ago, and my costs have gone up. Cost of cardboard's gone up. Cost of labor's gone up. Not getting any younger. I'm a contractor, 1099, so I'm covering my own, health insurance. I mean, I've seen guys get hernias on the job. I mean, just bad stuff. And then what happens? How do they? So how do we impact that? And Holly's got a comment here. Mobility leaders have the ability to change this. We can make sure we pay a fair price. Holly, I'd love to ask you your thoughts on this specifically. But Michelle, I'll start with you. I mean, is there an opportunity to make sure more money gets to the curb in these drivers' pockets so that they can be sustainable?
I think, I saw the industry reset its pricing a few years back. I think that across the board that needs to be done, not just in the household goods space. The more the suppliers get squeezed, the harder it is for them to perform, because overall they're dropping out. I agree with Holly, absolutely, that we have an opportunity to impact it, but the problem is most companies don't want to pay more, right? They want to pay less, and the more procurement gets involved, it's just, you get to the point where it's a commodity. You're buying a commodity and not a service, and the payment for such is less and less. I had an interesting discussion with my boss yesterday or today. Hopefully, he doesn't mind me sharing. He shared that he had offered a very, very low price, in some cases zero fee, for a service, and the client came back and said, "Well, where can you give me a discount?" And I said, "See, they're basically asking you to give a discount on zero." Okay. So the pressure exists, is my point. And yes, we can change that on the corporate side if they're willing to pay more, but that someone like a Holly or her former team would have to influence the organization, would have to influence procurement, would have to influence the executive team to be willing to pay more, which is hard.
Well, Michelle knows the training program, so she can speak to it, but I'm happy to come on live and explain how we did it. Holly, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Good.
Can we get Holly on?
Absolutely.
Can like 1 million people like Holly's comment here so that we can like, come on, Holly, come on. Holly, I'd love that. That'd be fantastic. And maybe we can get Michelle to come back too with you.
Yeah.
Holly says, I hate the zero fee model. You know, I hear this a lot from my RMC friends. We've had people come on the show and even talk about kind of the implications of a zero fee model. Some people say that this is one of the biggest challenges in the relocation industry and what's making it unsustainable for even RMCs, you know, to operate. Is this model outdated? Is it necessary? Is it going anywhere?
I mean, obviously on the RMC side, you don't like to have a zero fee model because you need to make money. But I think it's part of the competitive landscape. And if you want to win business, you have to match or beat. I mean, that's really the nuts and bolts of it, right? So yeah, we see the zero fee model quite a bit, and we see it in the competitive bids. And so if you want to win that business, Holly's the rare breed. I love her dearly, but she is the one person I know who is really willing to pay for the services that she gets. Not most clients are not. They're facing tremendous cost pressure. They don't have the either the knowledge or the organizational support to create some of the things that Holly did that allowed her to be able to fund these types of programs, a better paid program. But it's part of the competitive nature of the business, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's great to hear corporate folks out there like Holly. Kudos to you and others out there who are willing to pay extra for great service, because we hear our corporate partners talking about, service being the most important thing. But then I always say, you can listen to what people say, you can watch what they do, or you can look at how they spend their money. Right. And I think it's always different when people put their dollars behind that. And so kudos to people that actually do that, for sure. Bruce Fox. Hey, Bruce. Hope you're doing well. He says labor costs are also outrageous nowadays for household goods operators. And one of the things he's talking about, Michelle, and I think you know a bit about this, but it used to be that the labor on the job would get paid $100 a day, kind of standard going rate, $100 a day. And about 3-4 years ago, they went up to $200 a day. Just kind of like happened like that, $200 a day. They call them $200 a day guys, right? And now in the summertime, $250, $300 with travel, to get out to that job. Yeah. And because they're all independent contractors, they're not employees for the most part. Some are, most aren't. And they're independent contractors. And so they're raising their costs. And the owner operator out of his cut pays for these $200 a day guys. He also pays for his cardboard, which thanks to Amazon and our consumer habits, cardboard's gone through the roof. And so all this comes out of it, and yet the discounts continue to go kind of in one direction, with the exception of the couple of years ago being a reset there. Yeah. I wonder if, and here's my question baked into that soliloquy. My question is, we talk about fuel surcharge. We talk about, insurance surcharges. You ever see the day when there might be a cardboard surcharge or a labor cost surcharge that's actually tied to indices such as unemployment rate and, liner board rates, things like that? I mean, I think it would be interesting because it wouldn't necessarily be impacted the same way by discounts, but it could actually be kind of independently tied to macroeconomic forces, and it kind of be fair, just kind of make the drivers whole. You ever see something that progressive maybe coming about in global mobility?
I think we have to adapt to get the quality and the talent, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the van lines come forth and say, hey, we need to start charging these charges. It'll be at that point, determining whether the industry is willing to accept that or not. But yeah, I think companies are going to have to do different things. They're going to have to operate differently to survive. They definitely do.
Yeah. Yeah. Vinny Valverde from Nike. I completely agree with Holly. However, the decision sits much higher than in mobility. What we can use to influence is by selecting the appropriate providers that take care of their employees. Yeah. Cool. Holly Kloss, can someone please design reusable packaging? Yeah. Yeah, these are some cool innovations. Are there innovations that you're looking at, Michelle, that you're really intrigued by that are coming forward these days? What's something that really kind of catches your eye these days?
I'm really, really excited about what Bill's got coming down the pike, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. I know
Bill, you back
you've
there?
hit him backstage, but I'm
Bill,
really
you there? Is she allowed to talk about it? Yes or no? Give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up says you're good to go. Now you have to trust me. They actually gave me the thumbs up, but I promise he did. He's
I
got
was waiting for his comment in the chat before I believed you, Ben.
All right. Oh,
He's
there you go.
working.
We need evidence. Put it in the chat if she's allowed to talk about it. Oh my
He's
gosh.
working some direct to consumer stuff with AI, tech based, really exciting. The use of AI, the use of technology, those are the things that I think are really going to accelerate us in the industry, and those are the things that I get jazzed up about.
AI, talk about AI. So AI is like sounds really cool, but like, does it really apply to relocation? Give me some ideas
Sure,
of how it might apply.
absolutely. I mean, you've got so much data that you can use to forecast exception spend, to forecast volume trends. COVID kind of throws a wrench in that, but using technology to leverage where you're going, big win in my mind. Looking at some of the data analytics that are out there, taking that data and putting it forward. The thing I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that Bill has. I mean,
Bill, throw it in the chat, man. Give her.
He's surfing. He went
He's
surfing.
he's back there. He's doing something. He's typing. I see his little shoulders moving and stuff. Anyway, go ahead. You're saying.
He takes AI and uses it to instantaneously give. All right, thanks, Bill. I got a full green light, Ben.
So watch out, everybody. We got another hour here. Just kidding. Just kidding. Go ahead.
He's working on an app that's direct to consumer, whereby they can take their phone and do a whole survey of their house, and the AI will say, okay, you just went by an executive desk and that's going to weigh 300 pounds and the cost of that is X. And so those are the kind of things that I'm really excited about seeing. He's working on the direct to consumer side. I'm interested in seeing how do we offer that to mobility teams. So if they've got a lump sum program, but they want to give their employees some sort of support, what does that look like? So that's just an example on the ARC side, but things like that, new technology that's coming out, new ways to service the employees around the globe. Those are the things that I get jazzed up about.
Do you think so? Whenever I work with a lot of technologically forward companies, and I'm jazzed about it too, right? But then when I go to market with it and I go talk to folks, they're like, cool, I got it, but this is our process. It involves email, it involves PDFs, it involves spreadsheets, it involves, like we're of two minds. We know where it's going, but we're like tied to like my stack of manila folders and my PDFs and my attachments and my, if I'm feeling crazy, I might use Dropbox or Slack, but whoa, that's it, y'all. Like easy, right?
Yeah.
So how do we like get over the hump? Like we know what we need to do, but how do we get ourselves over the hump?
You got to talk to the right people, right? You've got to I'm going to use Holly as an example because her comments are still live in my feed. You've got to get someone like Holly who can figure out how to get a seat at the table. Holly and I wrote a mobility article about getting a seat at the table.
Oh, that was a great article too, by the way. Kudos on
thank you. You've got to get the right people who can influence the organization to make change, right? And if it's not you, and Vinny brings up a great point that sometimes it doesn't sit with mobility, sometimes it sits much higher, but it's really leveraging the knowledge that you have and doing it in a what's in it for me perspective, right? So getting to that decision maker and helping them to understand the value that this offers, whether it's productive head reduction or better employee experience, getting them on the ground working better, faster, quicker. It's really figuring out who can make that decision and then figuring out what it will take to get them to make that decision.
Well, and here's the fun part, right? So there's the influence part, which obviously, you've got down, and you and Holly wrote a phenomenal article. I still remember that article.
Thank you.
But then there's the change management piece, which is now squarely in your court as well now in your current role, right?
Yes.
Because it's one thing to get people saying, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like in a conference room, right? And then you leave the conference room, you're like, jazz, you're like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna woo. And then we run into, Bobby and Susie in the cubicle, right? And we're like, hey, so just talking about this thing, is my Bill Lumberg pose. Hey, I was just talking about this thing. We're getting rid of all the TPS reports and we're going to go to the GDP, Slack channel.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, and then they have a stack of, 24 inches of reasons why they can't do that. How do we navigate through, the paper piles and the entrenched processes? Because it's one thing that you say talk to the right people, and kind of at a level, right, that get it, but then we have to operationalize that, and that's painful for a lot of people.
Some of it is getting buy-in, right? People may not want to change because they're afraid of what that means for them and their job. So involving them in that decision up front certainly helps. And some of it, I think, is just the fear of the unknown. And, really helping, going back to that, what's in it for them, really showing them what the value it's going to bring to them, to the organization, and, making them a part of that decision certainly helps from a change management perspective.
Okay. Let's see, Faye here. What's up, Faye? Yes, using technology to enhance the transferee experience. Okay, total blue sky here. All right, total like art of the possible, right? How can AI, I want to go back to AI just for a moment because I think it's really cool. How can AI,
because I'm not the expert in AI, but don't
I know
me too deep.
we don't have to. No, but we don't have to necessarily like know anything about how it works, right? We're just talking about like from a straight up like a customer, like a transfer experience, right? User experience standpoint. What are some of the things? Like, how does it like what could their experience look like? Like, what is some of the friction that we think, like, wouldn't it be cool if this friction was removed from their process, right? What are some what's that dream experience you think look like?
I mean, for me, it's automating workflow for both the service providers as well as for the employee, right? Helping them with automated tasks, right? Pop a reminder on their cell phone to say, hey, you submitted your expense report, but you forgot to attach your receipt. Hey, don't forget your van line's coming tomorrow. Did you make sure you shipped your whatever that you didn't want to ship in the shipment? It's those sorts of things, and really that forward-thinking technology that supports and gives them the next step. A lot of what I've heard in the past from customers is, just tell me what's next. Tell me what I'm supposed to be thinking about next. Guide me through that. And so that's where I really see technology coming in to Faye's point, to enhance that experience.
Yeah, for sure. Vinny's saying technology is a great addition to enhance the experience. However, it should not replace the human interaction.
Absolutely. Awesome. I think there's a time and place where technology should replace the human interaction. If I'm booking a flight, I want to book it on my app and I want to get on the plane. And if I have to talk to somebody, then something went wrong. But I think in something as intricate as a moving of a family, a moving of a person from their friends and the area that they know, human interaction is so crucial.
Vinny says this is where a few companies miss. They think that now that they have flashy tech is going to replace the human interaction. I do not want that, Vinny says.
Neither, Vinny. I want both. I want them to have the tech they need when they want it, how they want to use it, but I want them to have that personal touch. I love our slogan of "We put the relation in relocation."
There you go. You know what you have? What do you have to remove to get there? Relation, relocate, Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the math on that. You have to remove the company. You have to remove the co. What do you have to remove?
All right. OC, yes.
Yeah. Holly Clown's Pie in the Sky. How about using AI to help them determine temp housing needs? Kind of predictive, right? Like, oh, you have this. Well, you're probably going to need this.
Sounds like a good idea, Holly. You should build it.
Build it. Corinne, I used to work with you back in the day, prior life. It's good to see you. Good leadership, someone you want to follow. I presume she's talking about.
Yeah. Corinne was on my team. My last team.
That's awesome. Michael Falia checking in from sunny SoCal, excited for the announcement. Cool. We're running short on time, Michelle, but I wanted to just ask you, if you want to leave us with a final thought, maybe.
Final thought. I think that we as an industry are a tight-knit family. I think that we need to look out for each other. There are enough clients in this industry for everybody. I got a nice note from my old boss today that said, we're cheering you on from the background, wishing you so much success, hugs and love always. But I think, just looking through the comments at how many people have touched my career, some that most recently worked for me and some from many, many years ago, just keep in touch, be kind to one another, and keep cheering each other on from the sidelines.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Great sentiment there. And you obviously have so many people rooting you on and in your corner, and so many people super excited to work with you, including myself. Looking forward to getting to know you a lot better. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. The new president and CEO of ARC Relocation, Michelle Brescia here. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody that was in the comments, getting involved, asking questions, leaving them. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Feel free to share this broadcast as well. Thank you to Bill Mulholland at ARC also for having, making us a part of this cool announcement. This was so much fun. Thanks for being a good sport, Michelle, as well.
So much fun. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate it, to you and your team.
Thank you. Yeah, and speaking of the team, shout out to Stacy Huff, our producer. Shout out to Tim Quirk at Dispatchers in Austin right now. We'll see him on Friday. And again, to everybody out there, thank you so much. We will see you back at our regular time, 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Take care. God bless everybody.